That belongs in a museum.
Sifka's hand, but he would have been able to drop that Sylvanas, but
again.
he's able to tidy up this board pretty effectively just with the Shadow of Pain, series of trades, and he's going to go ahead and Forbidden Shaping for 2 mana. Get the Lawwalker Cho, which is not what he would have been looking for, but that thing can survive 1 turn. It's going to make Call of the Wild a little bit awkward, at least.
Yeah, I'm not even sure whether I tend to agree here, because like what you said is that the Lawwalker Cho is kind of a bad card or a very bad card for Stancifka, but I don't really see it, because if you think about it, it usually punishes the one player with his spells, or rather the opposite, like the other way around, that it punishes the player with the least minions. But what we see here is, well, JJ doesn't like to see that. But this alone is already contesting all minions JJ can offer, and we also see a Darkshire Alchemist and a Sylvanas in his hand, which basically means that Stan will probably have the ability to simply outvalue all of JJ's minions.
Right.
And then, well, if Priest suddenly also plays with Call of the Wilds, then it gets interesting.
And there's the into the 4/6, we'd have to use his weapon as well, which would mean he'd be at 18. And by giving the Call of Wild to the opponent, that's going to be another huge amount of damage from Sifka. So, yeah, I don't see this ending particularly well here for Super JJ.
No, surely not. And will also push for more damage. So I wouldn't be surprised to simply see Call of the Wild coming down here.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. He does give his own Lawwalker Cho power here, but he definitely wants to keep that on the board because he knows he doesn't want to be on the losing end of this Call of the Wild exchange. And you saw Sifka mousing over the Cthulhu in his hand there just before making the play. Probably just checking its power. And I guess what he's considering is that, you know, he doesn't mind the long-term value, I guess, of giving the Call of the Wild back to JJ again, because he thinks this is now enough pressure to end the game with Cthulhu on turn 10.
Have you ever been lethal by Lawwalker Cho?
I don't think so. Oh, I think maybe once.
Already the Cthulhu, and Cthulhu will probably simply seal the deal.
Yep, so this is just going to be Call of the Wild back and forth, and as you said, each one of these is giving an incremental advantage to Sifka because he is the one with the existing minions on board that's benefiting from each Leok that gets summoned, but more importantly, there is also a Cthulhu in hand that looks like it can seal this game out on the following turn. So is that enough? He has to trade 4 in, there is... Yeah, not quite over just yet, but this is, I mean, people respecting the power of Call of the Wild. That's what's happening here. Both players have had numerous options on each turn, and when the best option is playing Call of the Wild, even though it gives it to your opponent every time, kind of goes a long way to speak for the power of what Call of the Wild does, right?
Right. So now, yeah, I mean, I would be also not surprised. Yeah, team trading also some of this stuff. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, as you pointed out 3 or 4 turns ago now, every Call of the Wild that has been cast has just provided an advantage to Stancifka. So it was kind of up to able to come up with anything else that was better than the Call of the Wild, and that's just kind of continued the spiral in favor of Stancifka.
Right.
So you'll be looking now at possibly Shadow of Death's Houndmasters, kill commands, trying to make some sort of defensive play, but it's not going to be enough here. JJ knows... Well, JJ doesn't know the contents of Sifka's hand, but we can see that Cthulhu, even if he does manage to make a strong enough defensive play to survive on the board, he's not going to be able to live through that Cthulhu. And Cthulhu Priest picking up another win here at the first effort in this series